Hi everyone, my name is Sumit Vasuja, and I'm the head of product and a principal product manager here at AWS. I've been with Amazon for about 6 years now. I built this product, Amazon Quick Automate, from scratch. So I've been with this team for over a year and a half. Uh, Started with writing the vision, then building this up with a talented team of engineers and scientists. I'm very humbled and proud to launch this in October of last year. Before I move forward, I'll have Reagan do a quick introduction, and then we'll get into the agenda.
Thanks, Amit. Hey, everyone. My name is Reagan Rosario. I'm a senior worldwide specialist SA focused on Quick and Quick Automate. Like Manish, like Sumit mentioned, we've been working building this product and building solutions around it since a little over a year now. And happy to be part of this team. Happy to be presenting this to you today. Thanks.
Thank you, Reagan. So the agenda for today. What I will do is start by talking about some of the background as we were building this product out. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? Then I'll deep dive into what are the features that exist today, and then what are some of the vectors that we are innovating on in terms of where we are going as a product. I'll not go into specific roadmap features. This is not a session to talk about future features, but I would talk about what are the key areas where we'll innovate. Then I'll hand it over to Reagan, and he will walk through a product demo, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. With this, right, as I said about a year and a half ago, we embarked upon this journey to build out a product in the business process automation space. So I worked with a lot of customers to understand what were the key pain points for them that they were looking for us to solve. As you know, a lot of products, services, tools existed, and automation has been around for a while. But there were a lot of key pain points that customers shared. So, for example, with RPA or robotic process automation, right? It's been there. It's great for front-end automation, but our customers told us that it's too brittle. There's a lot of when customers try to automate, if something changes, if a rule changes, it requires a lot of maintenance, a lot of support. And they were always using RPA as a stopgap feature or a stopgap automation versus thinking about it for a long term. API integrations have existed for a while, and whether it's REST APIs or whether through 3P integrations, customers have been doing a lot of automations through that as well. There's been document processing, and it requires effort, to integrate a document processing tool with an automation tool in order to stitch together a full or a complete process, right? So the key theme, right, in all of this was there are over half a dozen tools with every customer that they're trying to stitch together to make sure they can orchestrate and automate their end-to-end process. And it required a lot of maintenance, a lot of infrastructure management, and a lot of effort just to manage this, this ecosystem or this set of tools and these technologies. And then came, on top of all this, came Gen AI and agents, right? And everyone wanted to, figure out a way to use generative AI for business process automation as well. With all of that in mind, right? When I was figuring out what we would build, the idea was pretty simple in terms of what the North Star should be, right? I wanted to build out a product that is the fastest, easiest, and the most cost-effective way to automate business processes, right? That was literally the problem that we're trying to solve, and that's continues to be the north star we are working towards, and we'll continue to work towards. So, with that, I would actually dive in a set of features that we have today, and how we are actually thinking about these features, and what are some of the details. So with Quick Automate, customers can build out an automation through natural language. So we have what we call a planner agent, with which customers can chat, and it takes uh, the natural language conversation or any of your business process documentation, such as an SOP or a process design document, and builds out an entire workflow, right? Obviously, that workflow uh, may not be perfect, and we provide customers with the ability to use, again, natural language to update that workflow, or a set of intuitive drag and drop low code tools to directly edit the workflow that's generated by the chat. The reason for this is, again, uh, to us, agents are just a means to an end for business process automation. So, what we really want to do with this chat based authoring is for customers to be able to quickly automate their business process, right? So, it doesn't take them time to build out automations, to it doesn't take them time to edit automations, and then to also lower the bar in terms of the technical uh, prowess that's required to automate those business processes. And we have built these features, but we continue to improve and enhance these features so it becomes faster and becomes easier over time. Then the other thing that we've learned is that customers want to automate a very wide range of processes with for automation, and they need a set of very broad automation capabilities. And we've got two types of capabilities within Quick Automate. One are the agentic capabilities, and the other set's the deterministic capabilities. The idea for us is that customers want to decide where they want to use agents, and they want to decide where they want the automation capabilities to be very deterministic. So they don't want to use agents everywhere, and this is what we've learned from our customers. It's like they want to decide where they want to use agents, right? um, with agents, right now we've got two key type of agents that customers can customize. One is what we call the UI agent, uh, which is basically UI agent is basically an agent that can take steps on a web browser. So you can give it an instruction, and it would go and automate processes on top of websites. Uh, what it does is, compared to traditional automation, is it relies on the prompt and has intelligence to do things that traditional technologies could not do. And we've made sure, and we've been optimizing this for enterprise use cases and enterprise systems. So for example, we've got a customer who does their due diligence with merchants uh, before onboarding them to their websites or to their systems, and that requires the agent to go to different website every time to perform the due diligence. Wasn't possible with RPA or traditional technologies, but it's possible with the new with UI agent and with large language models and large action models. The other capability that we have is what we call the custom agent. This is basically another implementation of strands that we have, which is our open source library for agents. So you can provide it a prompt, a set of tools, and ask, and it can use the prompt and the tools to take actions. Think about asking it to do document processing. Think about asking it to do summarization actions. Anything you want an agent to do that requires reasoning, thinking. It is able to do that. Then we've got a set of deterministic capabilities, right? Which is you want control flow, if else logic, for loops. Uh, how many folks have tried to use agents to do that, and then it actually doesn't work, right? So we make sure that we build these kind of deterministic capabilities so you can be confident that it would work the way it's supposed to. Then we've got a set of built-in integrations we call action connectors. These are both 3P and 1P, which means you can connect to AWS internal services such as S3, Bedrock, as well as you can connect to external systems such as Salesforce, ServiceNow, and a host of other capabilities. Um, we also have a comprehensive test and debugging experience, which is basically within the studio as customers wants to author an automation. We've got ability to debug, setting up breakpoints. Uh, we've got ability to for customers to monitor their logs. We save them so they can always come back to these logs for audit trails. Similarly, for the agents thought process as well. We have a full version management system, so customers can uh, commit versions, roll back versions of automations, without having to think about all of the version management, and they always have that audit trail with them. Then we recently launched this feature, which is ability to migrate automations across AWS accounts. So what we learned from customers is they have a different test environment and they have a different production environment, and they want to maintain those sandboxes and production environment in different accounts. So we've got a very simple feature where customers can actually export their automations and import them into their production accounts. Um, and all of this is available on a fully managed runtime that we provide. We provide isolation for each of our workflows so customers know that it is secure, it is fully managed, so you don't have to worry about um, installing the operating system, managing your bots or machines, or thinking about um, upgrading the software on those machines to make sure it is most recent. We've got all of that fully managed. So all customers need to do is bring in their SOPs with their process, and then connect to their systems, and we take care of the heavy lifting in terms of the infrastructure. We've got a secure credential store, so as customers want to access different systems, they can store their credentials and be sure that they are secure. We've got ability to create triggers so these automations can run on a on a schedule, and we also have the ability for customers to be able to decide how many parallel instances of automations they want to run. One key thing that customers told us was a pain point, was that they had to maintain the infrastructure, and there were some of their automations that would scale at month end close, or there were peak periods, and then they would scale down in terms of volume, but they had to still manage all the infrastructure associated with it. So we also provide the dynamic scaling so they don't have to do this. Obviously, we have all of the observability in terms of status, metrics, audit logs. We launched with CloudWatch integration as well, to ensure that customers can use their existing metrics and alarms or mechanisms that they have to do all of this. We've got a human in the loop capabilities. Our customers told us that they wanted uh, to make sure specifically for agents. They wanted to make sure that the agents are performing as expected, so they wanted human reviews. There are two ways customers can have human reviews. One is a predefined step in a workflow. So let's say for an invoice processing use case, they say, hey, if the invoice is greater than a certain threshold, that we want the human to take a review this. The other option is you give this as a tool to our agent, and the agent decides when to invoke a human in the loop and can actually converse with a human through a conversational experience, get the information needed, and proceed in the workflow. And all of this is on the foundations of governance capabilities that we built right from day one. We have what are called as automation groups that provide a construct for customers to govern who gets access to workflows, who gets access to view the workflows, who gets access to participate in in the human in the loop process. So all of that governance is built in right from day one. Um, with this, I'll move on to the next slide, and I'll talk about some of the dimensions where we'll continue to work, uh, to improve the product and add more features. We want customers to unlock more and more automation use cases by providing them, the best AI capabilities that they can use with advanced reasoning and judgment, so they can, do that. So we'll continue to innovate across in that dimension. We want to accelerate the time to value. So our chat-based authoring experience, our ability to for customers to quickly build an automation. We're going to continue to invest and make sure that those features get better and better. Reducing support effort. Again, we've heard from a lot of you that automations tend to break, right? And business processes tend to change a lot. So what we want is, whether that's technical or whether that's SME or specialist time, we want to make it easier and easier for customers to support their business processes. Whether that's through giving a memory to the agents so they remember and improve upon accuracy, whether that's through providing evaluation capabilities so agents can evaluate themselves. um, we will we will want to make sure that we reduce more and more reduce the time required to support. Obviously, with agents, customers are expecting that they can more and more users within their enterprise can actually build these automations. And we would continue to make that experience simpler and easier. As I initially talked about, there are so many technologies that are required to stitch together a business process automation, right? Be it document processing, be it agents, be it API integrations or RPA. We want to help customers provide a place where they can easily go build out their automation without having to worry about different type of tools and supporting their infrastructure, um, which eventually, all of this eventually, what this does is improves the ROI for them, right? So they can automate more processes. They can automate a process much more deeply with agents. So there's, so they don't have to worry about, exceptions and so on. And finally, we provide all of this in a fully managed infrastructure that we scale and we scale down, and customers only pay for what they use, allowing them to tie their business process automation use cases to the value it generates. So at the end of the day, our idea is that customers are able to get more value for their investments in business process automation. With that, I'll turn over to Reagan to actually walk through, a demo and show us how it actually looks like.
I'll just quickly give an overview of what we are looking at. So this is the workflow quick automate workflow canvas studio. That's what you can call it. On the right hand side, you would see the workflow that I am going to demo today. I'll talk about that in a minute. On the left hand side, you would see all the actions that are available to you, such as the custom agent, the UI agent, which is something Sumit touched upon. You also have process flow steps like if and else condition, while loops, and you also have different connectors available to you, such as Bedrock connectors, Amazon S3, TextRack, and custom APIs. You also have other skills like Microsoft Excel, data table. You also have orchestration skill for case management and so on. And I'll touch upon that as we go on through the process, right? So the demo that I'm going to show today is for a life insurance automation use case. It is a simplified version of life insurance flow. Since we wanted to demo something that we can show you all the features about, right? So this is a life insurance workflow automation where, let's say, there is a claim comes in for a life insurance, and then what are the steps of how that claim is processed by this workflow, right? That's the example that I'm going to show today. So the first step here is I'll just give a quick walkthrough of what the workflow is doing. The first step here is it will fetch the claim details. Now, at this point, we're assuming that the claim has already come in and sitting in some sort of storage, be it a relational database, be it a DynamoDB database, or any other storage that might be. So here is what we have is we have an agent, and what that agent does is it calls an API, it fetches the details of the claim that have already been sent. In some cases, along with the information, like the structured information, you also get documents, right? Maybe it is a death certificate that you get that the agent is able to look at and figure out what information is in there. So in that case, what the agent is also going to do is use an S3 as a skill, and you also download that document, and then use extraction tools to be able to extract that document, right? Once that information is extracted, it will store that information within this workflow, and then move on to the next step. Now, this next step is a step where we show how the UI agent is going to work, right? So in some cases, you might not have an API to fetch some information, right? So let's say if it's a legacy system and it does not have an API. In that case, you can use the UI agent, which is the node here, and you can have it navigate a web UI. In this case, what we are going to do is we are assuming that there is a policy center out there which has the information about the policy, right? So we're going to check if the policy is valid, what's the coverage, so on and so forth, right? And this is kind of the prompt that you use. So here I'm saying, hey, navigate to the policy center and get me the details of a particular policy and return some information for me, right? So this is what it's going to do. So this is just a prompt that you pass to an UI agent, and it's going to navigate to that web page and is going to extract that information for you. Before navigating, here we are asking to go to this website. This is a mock website that we've created, which is kind of acting as a policy center for us. Then we enter the credentials here. This credentials use a secure credential stores that we have within the product itself. So you can store a username and password here, and it's going to use that to be able to log in into that website. Once this is done, once we have the information from the API, which is the input claim information, then we have the information from the policy itself. We have a rule engine agent here. This rule engine agent is going to compare the information here, right? So this is just an example of comparing information and passing it to a rule engine and giving it a set of rules saying, hey, these are the different rules that you have executed, and let me know if we can approve or deny this particular claim. So I'm again using a custom agent here. So like I mentioned on the left-hand side here, you have a UI agent, you have a custom. So in this case, I'm using a custom agent here. and I've given it a prompt. So this is kind of the prompt that's there, right? So I've given it a set of tools which I'll talk about. So there's a get rules tool. I've deployed that as an MCP server. So it is using that MCP server and fetching the routes, and then it is getting all the information that we've fetched from the input, and also from the death certificate that was given, and also from the policy center website, right? And once it does, it's going to I'm asking it to create kind of an output in a JSON format where it will tell me which validation criteria it succeeded and which validation criteria it failed, right? So it's going to give me an output of all of that. And this is what these are the different tools that I have, right? So here I'm giving it two tools via MCP, like the validate rules and the get rules, which I've exposed via an MCP server. Then I'm giving it a human in the loop task as a tool. What this will help the UI, the custom agent, is if the validation fails, it will trigger kind of like a human in the loop, where a human can go and check, hey, this what happened here, and then finally take the decision whether they want to approve or deny a claim, right? So that's what these two different tools are going to do here. And once all of the decision has been taken, we finally create a decision letter. So here we have like prompts. We use a if condition here uh, to check whether what was the decision from the agent. Now this includes the human in the loop decision also. Like what did the human decision happen, right? What was that? And then we kind of create this prompts here. These prompts are basically used for our Bedrock skill here. So this is kind of like an integration with Bedrock, where you are able to use large language models that you have access to in Bedrock, and then use that to basically create like a template of a letter, right? And we have provided what the template of that letter would be. So in case of denial, we are saying that, hey, this is the prompt for creating that letter, and this is kind of I want the final letter to be formatted as, right? So the prompt has all of that information. And here I'm showing a Bedrock connector. This is just an example because you know that there are capabilities that you can use. You could have also used a custom agent to be able to create this prompt. And then finally, I use the create PDF skill here. I pass it the text that this step created, and I create a PDF out of it. So this is kind of a native skill that you can use to create a PDF right within the workflow itself. And finally, I use an S3 skill, and you have an S3 integration where I pass the PDF and pass the bucket and have it upload the PDF that I created to an S3 bucket. Or if I wanted, I could also email that right from within this workflow itself, right? So you have tools that you are able to use Microsoft Exchange connector, and you are able to send an email directly from the workflow itself. Hopefully that explains this workflow and what it does. I'll just run this and then we can have a discussion on that. So when you run this, right, you will see that there is a panel that is open on the right hand side. Now this panel will list all the audit trail information, like what the workflow is actually doing. In this case, right now it is using the document extraction agent, which means it is fetching this information. So if you see this, it has fetched the information from the REST API. And now it is using the start document analysis from TextRact, right? So I've given it a few tools here. TextRact is one of the tools. Now it is calling the text stack and it is polling for it to be complete, and it has extracted that information here. Like this is the information that is coming from the death certificate that was uploaded, and this is the death certificate that I had. This is just a sample death certificate that I had uploaded, and it is fetching that information from there. So this is that information that it fetched from the death certificate. Now it is using the UI agent to be able to log in into that website. So this is the view of what the UI agent is doing. In this case, it has browsed to that website with this URL that I provided. It used the user ID and the password that I provided from the credential store, and now it's going to take the next steps of executing that. Right? It's going to go and figure out what it has to do. Let me switch tabs here and I'll show you the prompt for this UI agent while that is being executed. This is the prompt. So I think I've already showed this to you before, but it is just I'm asking it to go to this web page, go to this policy. In this case, I've just hard coded it, but you can pass parameters here and have it go to a specific website, and then return the beneficiary information, the policyholder name, surname, and the policy status. Now this is what is going to be evaluated by the rule engine, right? Yeah. So while it is working through the UI agent, let me talk about some of the steps here, right? Let me show this, the first agent that I talked about. So this is again, I'm asking it to call this REST API. I'm giving it kind of the path and the policy number. And I'm saying, hey, fetch this, call this API, fetch the information. From that information, get the path of where the document is, and then use text track to extract the information, right? That's the instruction to this custom agent that I have, and these are the tools that I'm providing it, right? So I'm providing it the S3 tool so that it can download that file. I'm providing it the text extract skill so that you can use the downloaded file and then use the text extract skill to be able to read information from it, right? That's what I'm providing this. And this custom agent is now then able to use those tools and fetch the information first, call the API, fetch the path of the S3 where the document was uploaded, and then use the text extract skill to be able to extract the information from the PDF that I just showed. Right? Let me go back here. Okay, still working through that. But what's going to happen is so it's going to navigate through this, and then finally it's going to so it's going to open this, go to this web page and look at the policy information here. And then it's going to look at the individual policy details here that it has. It will navigate to that. And finally, it will fetch all of the information here saying that, hey, this is the policy status, this is the date of birth, so on and so forth, right? So it's going to extract that visual information from that web page and provide that to me in a structured format, right? And you can essentially structure the output format here. This is applicable for the agents. You can structure the format the way you want it, right? So you can define, hey, this is the output that I want. And you can also look at the JSON output of this. So this is the output that I need from this agent. So in addition to having it just give you a set of text, it will give you a structured output the way you define it, right? And this is available for both the UI agent and the custom agent, right? And once that happens, yeah. So if you see this, it has navigated to this website, and this is the website that it is looking at. This is just a mock website that we have created. Now it's going to click on view details for the policy that we asked it to click, and it will extract that information from the pop-up that I just showed you, right? Okay, so it has clicked on the view details, and this is the pop-up that has shown. It will using a large action model that we have, it's going to look at the details and pass the details back in a structured format. And all of the audit trail, all of the chain of thought that it will be shown here on the right hand side in this pane, so that you can have a look at actually what the agent is doing, right? So once it has all the information, I'm going to switch tabs here so that so once it has all of this information, it's going to execute the rule engine, which is basically this. This is the rule engine agent that it's going to execute. Yeah, so it's going to use the tools that I talked about, the MCP tools, and it's going to compare the information that we fetched from different sources, like the input, the form, and then the policy administration, right? And it's going to create a task for me, and that task is kind of the human in the loop task, where a human agent is going to take a look at that and is going to determine whether they have to like approve or deny the claim, so on and so forth. So once the rule engine does that, it's going to output that information whether agent has succeeded or not. And then it's going to move to the next step here of finally creating this letter here. And this is kind of like that step where it is doing that. It is kind of creating. So I gave it a format and asked it to create in a specific format. And then it's going to output that and then finally create the PDF and then upload the PDF file. So it has extracted that. So here it has created a new task for me. And this is, again, the chain of thought process for this rule engine agent. So let me click on it. So this is that view that it has opened up. So it is saying here that failed rules, these are the rules that has failed. And I purposefully made the rule to fail so that we can just have a look at why it failed, so on and so forth. So it is showing information as to why the date of that does not match, so on and so forth. Right? So this is just an example. So here I'm going to say reject. So this is that a human in the loop interface, like the chat interface, which Sumit talked about. And I'm going to click send. And this will complete this human in the loop step, and it will show as completed here. Once that happens, this will complete, and then this will move on to the next step of generating the corresponding information, right? So right now it is creating the decision letter for me. So again, like I mentioned, you can use a custom agent here where with its native capabilities, or you can use if you already have a large language model that you want to use in Bedrock, you can use that. So it has completed now. The S3 file also has been, the step has also been completed. This is kind of the quick summary. It took 8 minutes, 3 seconds for the workflow to get executed. And you have all the audit trail message here. And finally, so this JSON object is kind of like the user response, right? So the user responded with a reject, and I have that within the workflow itself, and I can use that information to be able to make that decision. And let me show you. This is kind of the final letter that it generated, like why it denied, what was the information that was present, so on and so forth, the reason for denial. And this is just an example, and it is we just kind of use the Game of Thrones example here, like a Westeros insurance company. But this is what we started with, right? We started with the input information coming from a data source. We processed a PDF, which is kind of the death certificate. We navigated to a policy center, fetched that information using an UI agent. We used a rule engine to execute all the information. We use an MCP server that we had deployed with this, and we use that information to be able to extract information and then compare it with all the information that we've gathered, and a decision was made. And then you used a human in the loop to be able to evaluate that decision, where a human takes a look at what happened in case of denial. And then if the human denies, it goes and creates a denial letter and then uploads that to an S3, or you could do any other next steps like email it to someone and so on and so forth. So that completes the demo for us. You can actually run this demo yourself. There is a workshop that we have for that. I'll share a link later in a few minutes here. And you can use that workshop. You can run it on your own account, and you can deploy some infrastructure there, and then you can run this specific example directly.